Alright, so far we got the intake taken off of here and off to the side. I really don't think I'm going to have enough room to get back here to these bell housing bolts. It's going to be a very tight fit, so I am going to have to drop the engine out with the trans to get to them. So luckily not that hard. I will have to pull out the wiring harness running back here to the PCM. That's fairly simple. It'll be out in a few seconds. Drop that on the motor. Other than that, I will have to take out the headers. I'm going to have to disconnect the coolant lines coming from the radiator and the heater core lines. Other than that, I have very little to take off of here. I will have to get the steering shaft out of the driver's side header. It is a little bit of a pain to get to. They do sandwich the bolts in there pretty bad, but if I start to drop the engine first, it'll give me a little bit more room to get that out. Once that's taken care of, I will have to disconnect the shocks, and then I can disconnect my control arms. At that point, I can go ahead and start lowering the engine and transmission down. And once I get enough clearance on the top of the trans, I can get to those bell housing bolts. Alright, so we got the headers out, we got the coolant drain, we got the radiator hoses disconnected, PCM's pulled to the side, we have the steering shaft disconnected, we have the power steering reservoir connected off to the motor, and we have just about ready to lower the motor out of here. As you can see, it's actually just sitting on the way to the jack stand at the moment, and it is ready to actually come right on out. So the struts have been disconnected and the front cross member is just sitting on the jack stand right now supporting the engine. Currently nothing underneath the transmission. I do have a jack stand back there to support that, however. So as I start to lower them, they'll be lowered equally down and be able to clear the bottom of the chassis. So once we get that down, I'll be able to disconnect the bell housing bolts and slide the transmission out of the car. Alright, so we did get the transmission out. It was a little bit of a pain, but it did come out. We do need to get the torque converter swapped out, and we do need to go ahead and change the shift shaft seal over here. It is leaking on heavy load and dripping onto my driver's side header and smoking, so we need to get that out of there. Other than that, the torque converter will be going to Midwest Converters, and we're swapping that out for an even better one and taking a look at any damage that might be wrong with this one. Alright, so just got back from Midwest Converters in Rockford, Illinois here today and picked up this remanufactured torque converter. It specs out at a 400 higher stall than I was currently running. Those guys are really awesome. They really know their stuff, and they didn't mind me asking them a bunch of questions and hanging out for a little bit. So big shout out to them. They did a great job. This is a B82 torque converter, which is a 2200 to 2400 stall as opposed to the 1800 that was in there. So this should hopefully take care of all the issues I was having, and they did open up the old converter and we did find damage to that one. And as you can see from the picture above, we did have some damage to the mating surface for the clutches inside the torque converter. So everywhere that the pads are welded on the outside of the torque converter body that connect to the flex plate, there's actually micro cracks on the disc on the inside of that. And what these were doing was causing an extra friction area and causing the clutch to stay engaged on this disc even when it was supposed to be released. So this would make my torque converter act like it was in a lockup condition at all times. Said this would give me the shudder I was feeling at mid RPM ranges, as well as the low power I was getting off the line because it was putting my torque converter into that lockup state even when I was taking off from a dead stop. I was also having an issue where I'd put the car into gear, and at 700 RPM it felt like I was trying to pull through the brakes. So hopefully all of that's going to be taken care of with this new torque converter plus the looser stall. It's going to make this thing a lot better to take off, and I will be able to push a higher RPM off the line. So if we go for turbos this winter like the plan is, then I'll be able to build a little bit more boost with the new one. So that's going to be great, and it's going to help out a lot. Alright, let's go ahead and put this back together. So right after I finished putting it back together, we took it out for a quick rip, and you could tell immediately the car was much more responsive and was taking off a lot quicker. So here was a quick rip that I did where I kind of eased onto the throttle off the line, got up to about 25 or so before I went wide open throttle, and you can see it picked up a lot quicker than it used to. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. We do have one plan to go over the build process of this car and what all went into it. And we also have a few more LS Swap vehicles that we actually will be debuting on this channel as well. So if you liked what you saw, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.